Okay, welcome back to our garage welding series. We're going to talk about flux core real quick and the machine that we're going to use to flux core weld. Most of you guys are probably familiar with stick welding or shielded metal arc welding. These machines are a little more expensive, hard to use, and they need higher voltage than what we got in our regular wall outlets in our house. So we're going to try out this Century FC90 that I picked up for about 200 bucks. I spent another 10 or 12 bucks on a 1 pound spool of inner shield flux core wire that we'll be welding with. And I think I picked up another $10 packet of contact tips that you'll need. They also sell the nozzle, extra nozzles, but that's not that important. I bought these because that will be something to replace every once in a while. So relatively speaking, not that expensive. It works on regular 110 or 120 volt that comes out of your regular wall outlets, and it'll do, it's 90 amps, really it's 80 something, 88, but that's enough to do a lot of light stuff that you're going to do around your house. So not bad. Century was bought out by Lincoln Electric in the late 90s or the early 2000s, something like that. So you have the backing of a pretty good company, and I really like all their welding equipment, so that tells me a lot that if Lincoln is willing to pair up with them, then it's probably a good product. But I mean, it's not, we'll talk about in a little bit later, the parts. It's not going to be the higher end kind that you also see at the store, and I'll put a picture up of some of the other options that you may have readily available if you want to spend more. Like I said, 88 amps. You'll probably need a 20 amp breaker to get all the way up there. So if your breaker on your outlet is at 15 amp, you're going to be a little more limited, but 20 amps is not that uncommon. That's what I have on these outlets. It's a 30% duty cycle, and there's a little chart in the back that shows you duty cycle. What that means is out of 10 minutes, how many minutes can you weld? And since it's 30%, so it's 3 minutes out of 10 minutes you can weld, which is not bad. If you think about it, how long are you going to continuously weld? 3 minutes is that's a long weld, so that's good enough. 100% duty cycle is the best, and that's what you want to buy, and that's what machines like this most of the time will have. So they're way less likely to overheat, and you don't have to stop. You just do what you got to do. So that's where the difference in the price comes. Usually a higher duty cycle, it's going to cost you a lot more money, but then again, that's something you're going to be using on more of an industrial scale, and something, you know, commercially is going to be 100% duty cycle. But this is 30% when it's maxed out. So at the highest settings, and the chart on the back shows it, it's at 30%. It goes up, even up to 60% duty cycle at the lowest setting. So, but usually you talk about duty cycle, it's at when it's maxed out. How long can it go maxed out? So we got the parts, like I said, you got the wire, the spool in there. It's a 1 pound spool that goes on. This is the wire feed system, and like I said, on the lower priced items, all this is going to be plastic, and they're all about the same. You buy the Harbor Freight titanium Easy Weld 125, the Forney Easy Weld. All of those are going to have a plastic wire feed system. So again, you get what you pay for on some of those. You're not going to get the higher aluminum or cast aluminum, cast iron, cast iron feed system like you would in a MIG machine, a Millermatic 252 or something like that. That costs, you know, $3,000 or $5,000. This is a $200 machine, so it's plastic. The rollers are obviously going to be metal, but so you need to make sure you store it correctly, or that stuff will get brittle and start to break over time. So the other parts of it are, you got the gun where the wire comes out, you got the contact tip, the nozzle. Sometimes some of these will come with a a MIG nozzle, like, because they can do gas too. This one just does flux core, so you don't need that metal or the brass or copper looking nozzle that comes on a MIG machine, because there's no gas gonna come out of there. So which brings me back to, how does flux core work? Before we get too far into the machine, I guess, how does flux core work? Pretty much it's a wire fed welding process. The machine starts the arc for you once you push the button, and the consumable, like the stick part of the metal that you're adding to the base metal, is in the wire form, right? But the flux, the way your weld is protected from the environment while it's hardening, is through the flux that's on the inside of the wire. So the wire, if you looked at it in a microscope, when they were making it, is a flat, super thin sheet of metal, and then they put the flux in between. The flux is like what's on this rod here. It's the outside coating that, when it burns, is gonna make a gas that protects your weld, and it'll also form a slag coating or covering on your weld while it hardens to protect it from the environment. So all that flux is going to be inside of that flat sheet of wire, and they're going to roll it while they're manufacturing. They'll roll it up, and the flux stays on the inside, and now you have a wire, a tube, in other words. So this wire that's sticking out there looks like this when it's being made, and it's got the flux inside. So that's why I call it flux core, because at the core of that tube is the flux. And like I said, it's going to burn and produce a gas to cover your weld, and so that's also why you can use it outside. That's why we don't need any kind of tank of argon, CO2 mix, or anything like that. They do make flux core that is gas shielded for different applications, and the advantage to that is that you can use just CO2, which is a lot cheaper than argon. So you're making a step up. It's a little cleaner welding, a little more penetration, but the gas is cheaper. But still, at the very most basic level of flux core, you just use the inner shield, self-shielded flux core wire like this, and you don't need gas. Okay, so limitations. Since it's a low amperage machine, you're going to be limited on the thickness of metal. You're not going to be making any huge heavy-duty barbecue pits with it, or staircases, or building structures, or anything like that. It's not for structural welding, and you can use your judgment on that. But the box says it can go up to a 1/4 inch steel. The chart on the inside right here, where it tells you what setting to use for what metal, only goes up to 1/8, but the settings go up to, if you max it out, I found that you can do 1/4 inch. I've done some 1/4 inch, and we'll do some welding here in a minute on 1/4 inch and 1/8, and it does just fine. But like I said, use your judgment. I don't know, yes, I'm satisfied that it can weld pretty well on 1/4 inch, but I may not make a trailer that's going to go on the road and be under load. Anything that's going to need some safety factor to it, I probably wouldn't use this. I would use a more powerful machine to get better penetration. But it does pretty well. It makes pretty good penetration, and for most things, it does enough, especially on thin stuff. 1/8, 3/16 material, pretty much 1/4 inch and down, just fine. More than enough. So like in another video I said, spend the money, but don't buy stuff you don't need. So if I was only ever going to make 1/8 inch and 3/16 inch thick stuff and small things, I wouldn't need to go out and buy a $5,000 MIG welder that can do 3/4 inch welds and things like that. This is enough for me. So those are the limits. The pros and cons. To me, the pro is that it's cheap. It's $200. Relatively speaking, like I said, something like this would be in the thousands of dollar range, and this is $200. So it's very simple. The chart tells you what to put it on. You adjust your voltage, you adjust your wire feed speed, and that's it. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about how to actually use it in just a minute. And it's a quality brand. And like I said, Lincoln electric backs it, so, and you also know you got good customer support with it. And then probably most of all, the best pro is that it's DC, and that's what really sets it apart from a lot of these other welding machines, because I know there's the, like I said, the Harbor Freight titanium, the Forney Easy Weld, that Chicago Electric 125 that's at Harbor Freight. Those are all similarly priced. They're pretty much the same thing. Well, actually they're different because they advertise that they have 125 amps, but it's because those are AC machines and this is a DC. It works on DC power. It has an inverter. You know, obviously your wall outlet is AC, but this converts to DC. And when it comes to welding, without getting too deep into it, you're gonna get a lot cleaner weld, a lot less splatter, and a little better penetration, a little higher heat with less amperage. That's why this is 90 amps, and the Forney Easy Weld and the titaniums are 125 amps, but they're AC. So, like I said, the AC weld's a little different. You get a lot more splatter, a little bit less penetration, a little cooler. But that may be okay for you, and I'm not saying that they don't weld well or they can't weld on certain things. Those are definitely going to weld better on thinner metal, and this one may have a hard time on real thin metal. Like I said, because DC is going to run a little hotter. So that could be a whole video by itself, but basically if you want to know what's the difference between those and this one, that's one of the differences. It's just DC. So the cons, like I said, limited thickness. You're limited on what you can do, but that you get what you pay for. Duty cycle is kind of low if you're going to be welding a lot, or you have long welds. You may have to wait a little bit. The feed system is plastic, so it's not going to last forever. I mean, it'll last a long time if you take care of it and you're gentle with it, things like that. Another con, it doesn't come with a lot of things. Some of those other models that I mentioned will come with everything you need. This one just comes with just the machine, the ground, and one contact tip. Let's see, what else do I want to mention about that? You can go, and I've recommended a lot that Lincoln Electric Easy Weld or Weld Pack 140 HD. Those are really nice, but you're talking about $306 or $700 for either one. But again, it's Lincoln Electric. You're getting a lot higher quality. The wire feed systems are a lot stronger made. I think they're out of metal. That's a whole step up from these. Still about the same capacity of what it can weld, but a lot higher quality. You'll get a lot more longevity, and the duty cycles are higher. So that's what you'll see in the picture from the store. There's the Lincoln Electric ones, and you might be thinking, why not those? But we're trying to weld on a budget here, and this is the best bang for your buck for $200. So in the next video, we'll do some welding with it, and talk a little bit more about how it works, how to actually use it, and we'll get some metal stuff together. All right, thanks.